Why are you becoming increasingly sensitive? This is an interesting question I want to talk about today, and if this is something you've encountered in your life, you will get a lot of clarity about the misconception of sensitivity in the first place. This is something that relates to a really long journey of mine and landing in a place that I feel so happy to have such a high sensitivity. And my situation is actually super hyper sensitivity. I'm so sensitive to tiny changes, tiny discordance, but I know how to navigate this. If you don't know me, my name is Gosia. I'm a mind-body mentor. I'm a writer, speaker, artist, philosopher, and someone who makes up a lot of different things just to live my life according to my design. And this is Cosmic Tickle. You can watch me on YouTube or you can listen to me on a podcast, so you have a choice. So let's dive right into why might you be increasingly becoming sensitive over time and how to understand this. Well, first of all, I want to give you two different reasons why you might be increasing your sensitivity. One reason is that you are becoming sensitized. What does it mean, sensitized? This is a phenomenon that happens when you are kind of experiencing a sort of trauma or a mini trauma, and it happens over and over again. So maybe you were sensitive in the beginning, maybe you didn't even know that you were sensitive, but something bad happened. Maybe you were traumatized as a kid, maybe you were scared or surprised, or maybe something bad happened later in your life. And every single time some stressor that's similar, that kind of falls somewhere general in this area of what happened, maybe that was a relational trauma. So every sort of situation that feels stressful with relationships, it adds to that pole of sensitivity. This is sensitization that over time it builds into feeling like it's more overbearing, like it's more debilitating over time, like it's overflowing your ability, your capacity to hold this stress over time. And sensitization also has this thing to it that it also spreads to becoming sensitive in other areas from the original one. So let's say you experience relational trauma, if we continue with that example, and it was really painful, and over time, it was repeatedly kind of stressful for you. And over time, what happens? Maybe you start also being sensitive to light, sensitive to sound, and all other things. It kind of spills over. When it kind of floods the whole area, it can flood and generalize the whole area. It can do the sensitization kind of spreads. So it means it increases your sensitivity in intensity, okay? So it becomes more intense, and in the spread. So more things become kind of a problem for you, right? So like I said, it may spread over other things. And it's common, it's very common. And it happens also for people with pain. And it happens to people with allergies. Kind of negative flip side of sensitivity is that maybe some stimuli that initially caused you stress and be triggered and unable to resolve situation, when it's repeated, when it's not resolved over time, it spreads. Okay, so this is the simplest way I can explain and illustrate it. So this is one of the reasons why you might be becoming increasingly sensitive. And when you are in this realm, when you become sensitized over time, it's really hard to see your sensitivity as a gift. I talk about seeing sensitivity as a gift, or not being able to see sensitivity as a gift, in my other 2 episodes, so you can watch them later. But you can really just see this as a burden. There's no other way to see it, because like it really pains you. It's really disturbing. It's really something that can overwhelm you and disrupt all your life and limit your ability to explore life, because sensitization has also in its nature built in a way how people respond to it, which is over time they start cutting out various things they are trying to protect themselves from, because that's their only way to deal with painful situations, to push them away and hide themselves into smaller and smaller place. The smaller and smaller place becomes because more and more things become triggering. You see this, how it happens? Okay, so this is how it works. And you know, I just remembered I recorded maybe last year a video talking about high sensitivity and living on your terms, and it talks a lot about this kind of avoidance that sensitive people develop over time. So maybe it's something worth revisiting. Now, the second reason to be more sensitive over time is to cultivate sensitivity, is to become more and more in tune to your sensations, which means welcome the sensations no matter what they are, whether they're signaling you something through a negative feeling, no matter what that is, whether that's your emotions, or you just kind of feel repelled from that person, or maybe you have some sort of reaction in a situation that also speaks to you, whether that's, you know, visually repelling, or maybe it's loud and jerky and it just doesn't feel right. So whatever these things signal to you, you are welcoming all these sensations as a communication, direct communication from your source, from your highest self, which is what they are. Sensations are a direct language of your highest self talking to you all day long, all the time. Now, people are often numb and they are used to disassociate from all kinds of sensations when they don't feel like they have capacity, when they don't know what to do with it, when they don't understand this language. They cannot resolve sensations, right? And they become more numb and numb and numb. When they stop being numb, they become very sensitized, because the traumas have built over time. And this is what I talk about in the first reason. Now, when you become in tune on purpose, and that second reason is how we can do it, is by being present, is by listening in to what's happening, is by giving space, is by not rushing to just, you know, distract yourself by, I don't know, playing with, I don't know, Netflix or you know, playing on your phone or doing something that is distracting you. Right? So you can become in tune to your sensitivity and honor your sensitivity, but this requires a lot more awareness and a lot more consciousness. and a lot more of prior healing to be able to be freely becoming in tune with your sensitivity, because you're not anymore afraid of these sensations. You know exactly what they are. You know that it's safe to experience them, nothing wrong will happen, and you've built certain resilience, certain capacity to be with various sensations. This is rare, to become in tune with your sensitivity and completely embrace them for their own sake and cultivate sensitivity in that way. Why is it so rare? Because people who evolve from maybe being sensitized or maybe being wounded or traumatized in the past and suffering, they kind of heal some of their wounds. They become aware of themselves. Many of them go into self-development and spirituality. I love spirituality, but the problem is they don't cultivate embodiment as much as they need to balance and to ground the energy that is in the head. What happens for these people? They are most often bypassing, spiritually bypassing reality. Consciousness always comes first and physical world comes second, because it's the result of our mind. But we need to embody ourselves in this construct, in this current reality that we're at, by using the language of sensations that comes from our body. These are physical sensations. They are intuitive sensations, but they are translated in a physical way. That's why sensations are a bridge between the invisible realm and the physical, visible realm. And the sensitive, more evolved, quote unquote, people are stuck in their heads and, you know, imagining all kinds of things, which are great things. But they are often listening to some gurus outside of them. They are often, you know, imagining voices in their head rather than listening to inner tuition that signals through the body. It is really, really important to become embodied as a part of this journey. That's why my entire work is called Embodied Reintegration. We must connect our mind with our body so that we can listen to this inner tuition, to this higher self voices that helps us navigate this reality. Because higher self, the source, cannot call us, right? It speaks through some language. It has to speak through the language of physical sensations that we can understand in these physical bodies. But what most people do, they disassociate, they live in their head for their entire life. They want to think their way out of every situation, and they are completely disconnected from their inner tuition. Our bodies are essential tools for spiritual ascension. And ascension is guided through sensitivity. I hope this little digression helps you a little bit as well, because it's really, really important to understand that our body is really playing an important role in your evolution into becoming fully authentic selves and living happily the design that we are meant to live, especially in the modern world, in the digital era, where there is so many voices, so much misinformation, so many lies, so much scope for manipulation, and actually a lot of manipulation going on, basing on your fear, having the constant guidance in the form of your sensitivity, having a constant connection to what is true, is priceless, if you ask me. And if anything, that's the most important reason that, you know, it's priceless to tune into and embrace all kinds of emotion, sensitivity, and sensations that you're experiencing, and learn to use it. Because as you refine this skill, you become someone who cannot be taken for granted, someone who cannot be manipulated, someone who knows the truth, someone who is powerful beyond measure. And I kid you not, when I started validating my intuition, my sensations, my inner tuition, and know how to navigate my life using sensations, my life really started shifting. And at this point, it feels so much different, and it looks so much different than it used to, when I felt like I couldn't do anything, like I was overburdened, like I was overwhelmed with the sensations, you know. Now it all seems like I always have an option. I always know what's true. I always know what's better for me. And I can have many voices around me. I can have all kinds of news. I can have all kinds of people. And I can easily tune them out. I don't have to protect myself. I don't have to hide myself from them. I don't have to avoid everything. I do cut it out from my life because it's not conducive, and it just takes my attention and just gives me data that I don't care about. So I don't care about this. But I don't mind hearing other opinions. I don't have to shrink and, you know, contradict them or fight for who's right. I just know my right. I know my truth, and I don't care what other people believe. This is another reason where you can be with others and be mostly for yourself. Know the truth, and this is priceless. Now, you can be two of these things simultaneously. It will overlap for a time. For example, I know plenty of people who are healing emotionally and healing their wounds and traumas, and therefore they're contributing to building that ability to be in tune with themselves, because they're spending time with themselves, right? So there is the overlap. As people are healing from various things, they are showing to themselves, and they are cultivating the language of sensitivity and sensations in all kinds of ways. Now, it is critical to understand how to interpret this language, because it will never be useful, and you will never be able to fully claim it and really catapult your healing if you can't interpret the sensations. And I talk about it again in my last episode and in my episode talking about negative emotions, the purpose of negative emotions. But for the sake of this episode, I will briefly tell you that all kinds of negative sensations are telling you that you are off track, that something needs to be changed so that you are living fulfilled, happy, abundant, healthy, peaceful, and aligned to your purpose, right? If you experience any sort of negative emotions, whether that's guilt, anger, fear, helplessness, shame, or, you know, all kinds of kind of more intuitive language that tells you that something feels off, feels not right. Now, when your sensations kind of spark joy in you. They feel like they make you alive. It feels like life force is like really flowing from you. Like what you're doing is effortless. Like you're meant to do this. Like you're meant to be in that place. All these kind of sensations, however they manifest, indicate to you that you are on the right track, that you are, just doing something right. So keep doing that. This is basically the language of sensations, language of emotions, language of feelings. That also includes all kinds of sensitivity to, certain situations. When you're in large groups, okay, maybe groups are not conducive for you in this situation. Make it smaller. Go where it feels right. Do what feels right. But be aware that you might be sensitized. You might have been sensitized, and all that you're doing is you are being triggered and escaping and avoiding, which actually closes you more and more away from, living your full self. But it is very good stage to be. If you are, living in a hermit mode for a while, close yourself off from people, from influences, and spend time on your healing, invest time into yourself. It's very good. It's conducive. But it's a stage. You have to remember it's a stage from which we must face the world, which will bring us another set of lessons that later you can also go into your hermit zone and kind of process things through on your own or in some sort of safe environment, right? So all things are relative, and depending where you are, you might be either acting out of being sensitized or being just sensitive to situation. And it's a certain art that, we refine as we choose to claim sensitivity as a language from higher self, which it is. It's a journey that we become better at. And it's really a beautiful journey to be making, because over time you learn about yourself, how powerful, how resilient, how amazing you are. You are awesome, and you are powerful beyond your comprehension at this moment. But only your sensitivity can teach you about how to get to that next level of you becoming yourself. Because senses give you that direct contact with your higher self. But for now, you have these two different reasons why you might be becoming increasingly sensitive. One is sensitization, one is cultivation and mindfulness. And we want them ideally to become more that latter, that second one, when we are welcoming all kinds of sensations and learning from them. This is when you become more powerful, more aware, more conscious, more healed, more happy, more healthy, in better relationship, working in like your passion or whatever your design asks of you, whatever is fulfilling. This is your path, and your sensations indicate that. Now I remember also I recorded an entire episode talking about the progress, the 3 stages for highly sensitive people. It might also give you an idea how this process looks like. So you can also watch it. I'm going to post it in the description of this episode. But for now, I want to invite you to reflect on your situation, because I would hate for this episode to be just like a kind of theory. I make them all so that you can use the insights that I've learned from, and that took me many years, that took me actually decades of my life, that you can just take it and apply it in your life so that you can speed it up for yourself. You don't have to go through the same mistakes of dwelling in the misery of feeling like you're victimized by your sensitivity, like it's a curse or something. So be sure to take it and do something practical with it. And as always, feel free to ask me any questions, leave me any comments, leave me any insights from your journey that you want to share with me and others. And if you want to listen to any more of that kind of content, feel free to follow me. For now, thank you for listening, and I will talk to you very soon.